This is the Hartford Online Radio Network. 21st Century Audio. Delivered on thehorn.com.
Good evening, folks. It's Tuesday. It's the Hartford Online Radio Network on thehorn.com, and this is Open for Business, the show that features hands-on business owners, managers, consultants, discussing everything and anything that has to do with running a business here in the 21st century, and obviously most especially here in 2012. Our sponsors are Gateway Financial Group, the accounting firm of Budwitz and Meyerjack, Sherpa Technologies, CentralCTDental.com, which is the home of Drs. Camp, Sambor, and Lupini. I'm Tommy Russo. This is Ken Cook. We're the host of Open for Business, and this evening our guest is Mr. Avi Smith-Rapaport, owner of We Care Computers. Welcome, Avi. Nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
Before we get to you, though, as most of our listeners and folks that tune in on a regular basis know, we always like to start the show off with a couple quotes. And this weekend, I've got one from Aristotle and another one from Picasso. So kind of an interesting pairing, yes?
12 down and 14 across on the crossword. Good. Go for it.
Okay. Well, you tell me who's who here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And then the next one is, action is the foundational key to all success.
Aristotle's 2, Picasso's 1. 50-50.
Wrong again.
All right, Tommy, let's start again.
So Aristotle's the one that says we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit.
Okay.
And our guest knows, indeed, both in his business career, and also we found out today that Avi, among other things, is an Ironman, has done competition once and is about to enter again. And then our buddy Picasso here says action is the foundational key to all success. Any thoughts on those?
I think Picasso is pretty obvious. I mean, nothing happens unless you do something. Aristotle, a little more ethereal, but I like it.
How about you? Any thoughts, Avi, on the two quotes?
I like them. I mean, to be successful in business, I mean, you just got to do it. So
that's it.
That's exactly it. So share with us a little bit. Welcome again. Glad to have you on board with us for this coming hour. Tell us a little bit about you and We Care Computers, just to kind of get the show revving and moving forward.
How far back? College? Closer. We Care started.
We're not
Tell us about your mother.
We can't forget that we've got Brian and Dave here. We got the A-team. The big dogs are in the house.
In a brief summary, 2004, We Care Computers was official. January 2004, it started with just me. I was the guy who answered the phone, took care of all the computers, took care of the AR, the
coming from
accounts
where?
receivable. I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
Before that, I worked in a private company as the IT director.
Oh, all right.
So I ran the computer network there and dealt with a lot of vendors and interesting people and bosses and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a private company. And before that, it was a university that I worked at when I was right out of school.
So for lack of a better way of articulating it, what gave you the cojones to make the decision to move forward and jump out of that private company and start your own?
Okay, great. I had always thought bigger, if you will, and I started We Care kind of on the side initially, just to kind of earn some extra money on the weekends, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then through some stuff that happened at work, moved on from that opportunity and went out full time. And I mean, my wife tells the story. It was, I think it was a Friday morning where we had my last day at the office there, and she was visiting my mom at a pool in Hamden and Connecticut down near New Haven, and I kind of went there. And she was like, what are you doing here? It's the middle of the day. She was visiting my mom with the boys. And so I kind of moped for a bit. And then she says that the next day I just went full fire and started hammering my residential clients and said, well, I know you're a lawyer. I know, you have a financial firm. We can do your office now. So it kind of went from there. So it was scary but exciting at the same time.
Huh. So it's not unlike most entrepreneurs, though. The startup is the self-belief mixed with a little bit of I'm walking away from something that I'm not happy with. Because I remember when I started my business, 1987, I hated playing with others. I just was lousy at it, and by that I mean the politics. So I just 10 months worth of salary, start the practice up, go through 8 months of it, and finally get some consulting gigs going. But yeah, I admire the chutzpah to go after the clients right away. That's the key.
Like, I mean, I saw no other way to do it because I had an idea of what I wanted, and
Yep.
that's what I needed.
So clearly you had strong intuitive sales instincts, but what I'm wondering is, was there any sales training background that you kind of buoyed yourself to take the steps that you did to start knocking on doors as immediately as you did, and it sounds like somewhat aggressively as well?
Yeah, I no formal training, if you will, but I
Okay.
did have some mentors that I was working with, and I read a lot of books.
What did the mentors tell you?
Honestly, like immediately I called one of them like right away as it happened. He was like, "This is the best thing, that could have ever happened to you."
That's a good friend.
Yeah, I
Love
didn't
you.
feel like it at the time, but
Love hearing that, though. And,
Yeah.
and we've bantered around through several of the shows a number of different books. Is there one or two or five that, come to mind? You can share a couple with us. Again, knowing that our audience is made up of a number of people that are contemplating what you did a number of years ago, and that is, I'm not happy where I am, and it's time for me to make the move. So a little bit of assistance in, shoving them forward.
Yes, some oldies but goodies classics that I still like my employees to read. One is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I thought that's just phenomenal, and I mean you should read it every year type of a thing. The Magic of Thinking Big was
Okay.
also quite powerful for me. And then another one, The Magic of Believing. Because during that time, again, there's a lot of, I had a wife and kids, and there's a lot that goes through your mind with that, so you really need the support and just to know that it's possible. So
Tell me about the name.
I don't know the official deal with that, but my brother was in corporate for a while. He joined me in 2007, but he was always very involved, supportive, and I think it really just happened one weekend. We were just chatting, and it kind of came up like how do you like to be treated, and how do you want to treat people? And one thing I try to drill into my guys is whenever they're recommending things or on site with clients or dealing with anyone is always what would you recommend your mother if this was your mother you're speaking to? And I've seen if you have a good relationship with your mother,
Premise one.
you probably would care about her and hope that the solution you're recommending would work for them for a long time. So I think that's
So it's a
I'm gonna stick with
reflection
that.
of the service. It's a reflection of the attitude you have towards your client base.
Yeah. Like we do really care when it comes out there, and obviously we're in business, so issues arise, and we do really care about them. We always we like to keep communication open and dealing with all things, So
Tell us a little bit about the services, product offering services that We Care brings to the marketplace.
we do everything from the sales of computer equipment, from your servers to workstations to helping you set up a new office, to helping you grow to a new office, to your day-to-day issues, to these days we do a significant amount of things in the cloud, to email hosting, managed services, remote monitoring, those kinds of things, online backup, pretty much anything you can conceive of on your network.
Okay.
So the machines, your routers, that kind of stuff.
Now, I'm just even before the show got going, and a couple conversations that were going around the room, including some new equipment purchases here on the Horn. I'm staggered on a daily basis. I don't think that's an exaggeration with my need to continually grow. So I can't imagine the kind of ongoing training that you and your staff has to go through. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, are you guys back to school, once a week, once a month? Or how does that go? Because, I laugh when people use the phrase state of the art. State of the art is a static moment in time that changes to the very next moment, and that goes along with the evolution of technology. How do you guys stay on top of that?
It's really getting immersed into the new technologies as it comes out. Certainly we have training classes and whatnot that the guys can take, but really just getting immersed and dealing with the issues at hand is how they're taking care of it. I don't do tech work anymore. I'm dealing with the people now.
I think that's the happiest smile we've seen from you all night.
Gives them time to train for the triathlon.
That's right.
No, but the guys, we call them specialists. The guys who work with me right now, they're all guys. And the techs in the field. Okay. We have a wonderful woman in our office, Jesse, who runs the office. The guys there, the people who work well with us are always have a thirst for knowledge, because they're going into maybe a dentist office today, and then tomorrow it's going to be law office. So you're dealing with lots of different software, and the computing technology is pretty much the same, but dealing with the software and all the intricacies of how everything talks together is. I'm lucky to have the guys doing what they do. I mean, they're amazing. So
now our audience should know We Care Computers won Avon's Chamber of Commerce's 2010 Small Business of the Year Award. What qualified you to win?
We get involved. Our office is right in West Hartford, Business Corner, West Hartford. That's right over the mountain to Avon. Correct. So we're not afraid to go over that mountain.
Good.
Just like we're not afraid
in
to
any
come over
weather.
Oh yeah, we have special tires for the guys. So we do a lot of work in the communities, the surrounding communities, and whenever we can lend a hand or donate something to a nonprofit, we like to do that. So and we support the Avon Chamber of Commerce a lot. So I think they just noticed that, and we were really happy that they recognized us, and we continue today to be involved with Avon a lot.
That's a great accolade. Now, one of the things that we frequently talk about with guests is focus on the proper niche, the proper space in the market where you can shine. One of your ideal prospects is listening right now somewhere. Describe that person. Who are they? What's their business look like? Industry, size, whatever.
Right. It's interesting that you bring that up, because right now, I mean, to us, computers are. We can take care of anyone's computers. What's interesting to me that you bring that up is who our clients, where we're getting most of our calls from these days. And right now, I see a lot of it in professional service firms. And to me, I just use that term to talk about law firms, financial, insurance, those kinds of agencies, CPA, and then also medical. And and then if I take a step back and see maybe why the world is bringing us to them, or them to us, I don't know. Other than the size of office seems to fit our market. Like right now, we would handle the under 50-person office, and probably the 5 to 20 is a real nice sweet spot for us.
Okay.
Certainly, we can go higher, and we do have clients that are smaller. I think some of our competitors are looking maybe for the larger size clients, and not that they wouldn't do a good job with those guys, just that maybe that's not their focus, and maybe some of them are not getting as much attention as they once did. So, no matter the size of our client, we take care of them. We have a great staff, and we can we seem to work things around to take care of them. So, does that answer your question?
It does. And for me, the curiosity is that there are probably 1 to 3 cars per household. Good guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably err on the 3 side of that equation than the 1 side. So yes, absolutely.
Equivalent number of TVs.
Anyway, no doubt.
And probably an equivalent number of computers.
Anyway.
Outlets to get your car repaired. Abundant. Garages, dealers, all over the place. places to replace your TVs. You can go any retailer, online, Best Buy, it doesn't matter. The curiosity with computers is that there are retail buys, but there is no install service. I mean, you are in a competitive marketplace. There's a number of vendors out there, but for the population of computers that are out there, it never strikes me that it's crowded enough. I don't know if I'm misreading it or not. And I think what it spells for the entrepreneur is a wonderful opportunity. It's an opportunity to say, wow, I can take that piece of the marketplace, whatever it looks like, and say, I own that. That's where I'm going to plant my flag. Nobody's going to touch me. So to your question, your comment, why do they do business with us? You're not sure? My first recommendation is ask. I mean, go get SurveyMonkey or somebody online and just pump out a survey to your client base and say, why do you love us? Why do you hate us? Tell me why you do business with us, because the more you know about that, man, the easier it is to find that place in the market where you can plant your flag.
That's a great point. I want to remind folks that we have with us this evening Avi Smith-Rapaport, owner of We Care Computers. And if you are not following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, then we want you to start right here in this moment. So another way of addressing what Ken just talked about with you, Avi, is who's your competition and how do you distinguish yourself from your competition, so that if Tommy Russo or Ken Cook was about to hire the services that We Care brings to the table, why would we choose you and no one else in the
Or as
marketplace?
importantly, recommend him to somebody who's my friend.
Point really well made. Yeah. So
that's great. I mean, I what I try to bring out in my business is to treat people, customers, the way that I like to be treated. So to me, the number one thing when dealing with any vendor is communication.
Okay.
And what I find with where I get frustration with dealing with a lot of vendors is the lack of communication and sometimes lack of clear, concise communication or specific communication. So how I feel like we are very clear in our communication, as well as abundant and efficient and quick. So when we're pricing out certain things, I mean, it's in paper, and we like to have it written so everyone can see, and so we're all on the same page, and we want everyone to know what we're talking about. So like when I go into a new potential client meeting, like things that I hear, because I ask, well, you have computers. I see your servers running. That place is not on fire. It seems like you're working. So why am I here? And oftentimes I'm getting it's the lack of communication from our current vendor, which is why you're here. And whether or not they had heard that we're into the communication business or not, they're looking. So if we can fill that void for them, I mean, typically those are phenomenal clients for us.
Do your clients talk to you at times when they're not having a problem? I mean, do they proactively come to you for solutions that expansion, growth, whatever it might be?
Great question. It depends on the type of person they are.
Okay.
And also the industry. So if one of the clients hears in the news a new, like a medical office, the new electronic EMR, electronic medical record software is coming out, or a new way to do something, I try to have the relationship with our clients that come to us first before doing some upgrade with your vendor. Let's make sure that it's vetted and it's functional, that kind of thing. So we have clients like that. Unfortunately, there's a great salespeople out there from these software companies, and sometimes clients get a little stuck and just go with things without, checking with us.
You mean whatever the software vendor recommends? Flavor of the month.
Those guys are amazing.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, I want to throw in my 2 cents at this moment. What strikes me with you, Avi, and this is absolutely meant as a significant compliment, having worked over the years, both on the electronic side and on the tech side, computers, etc., with a number of people that do repairs, people that bring tech, you strike me, and I have a feeling that the culture supports your culture follows suit with you, that you are extremely well spoken. There are tons of people in your industry that cannot communicate to
Yeah.
guys like Ken, Brian, Dave, and myself, and at least in the way that we walk away saying, I understand what you just told me, as opposed to having the cross-eyed look of, oh my God, I wish he or she would learn to speak English, or at least the kind of English that I'm speaking. So that I have to believe works extremely well in yours and your company's favor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Two things. One, to build on what you just said. Communication is the critical thing, but I think translation is the real word that works in your industry, because your clients are not technical people. They're not technologists. I'm brain dead on technology. I turn it on, it works. If it doesn't work, I say, oh my, yeah, and then all the stuff that you see in the cartoons and the expletives, they all start to fly. But if you can translate for me why, and do it, as Tommy said, in English, that's a great thing. And the second point, you and I met a number of years back, but we don't really connect with each other on a frequent basis. But I can tell you from someone who, after Tommy said you're coming in, my immediate reaction, branding for you, service, service, service.
All right.
Those are the three words that pop into my memory as far as what I have heard people say about We Care Computers. Service is beyond reproach. Nobody can touch it. So
We'll take it.
those are the kinds of things you want to find out, though,
Oh, for
on
sure.
a much more explicit basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the clientele. I mean, you have kind of already, but in a little bit more detail, and the marketing that you do to bring this particular group of clients to your doorstep.
Okay, we've done everything from home shows to weekend shows. We're big supporters of the Business Expo in June. We've had a booth there for, I think, forever. We also do like local shows. We do in West Hartford. We're a big supporter of the show there. We sponsor a nonprofit. And we do a bunch of shows now within specific industries, like we do a lot of work with chiropractors and law firms, so specific industry-specific shows.
Okay.
So again, the types of clients, I mean, we have worked with and work with everyone from a nonprofit to a small retail store with one computer to larger real estate companies with multiple offices, even out-of-the-state offices. So I think we kind of run the gamut.
Yeah.
So, it strikes me when I hear you share, and to me, it sounds like a real grassroots kind of approach to marketing, which I'm a firm believer in to this day. But you living off the tech industry, I'm not hearing that, we're doing email blast and social media is a significant part of our marketing. Maybe it is, and you just didn't get around to sharing that with us in this particular moment. But and if you are doing that, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we do all of that, and it's hugely important. What I love in this high-tech, crazy, super high-tech world is the high touch. So when we can get out there and shake the hands of someone I've never met in person and maybe not even communicated with. I mean, right now, I'm not the only guy answering the phone anymore. Certainly I still do when others aren't answering, whatever, but, meeting someone for the first time that I've known for 5 years is kind of neat. So yes, we certainly, we do a newsletter about every month, not always that often, and we work with some great people who work with us with our social media, so like Twitter, and we do have the Facebook page, so certainly like us and follow us on Twitter out there. And then another thing that I find very successful is the networking, so like networking events where like chambers of commerce have them, whether they're evenings or mornings, and again, meeting the people face to face. And what I like to do now, where I find a lot of success, is pinpointing certain people. To me, someone who's a producer out there seems to work well, just so we can sit down, have a cup of coffee, and I can put them in my back pocket. I like to, whenever I'm having a conversation with anyone, people share a lot. And whenever I can, they might say nothing that has to do with technology, but it could be, It could have to do with even they need a new car or something. So I always like to know people that I trust in order to make recommendations to anyone I know. So,
which to me is, I guess I should say old school, but it's still new school to me. It is the fundamental approach, and I know you're
high
a firm.
touch.
Absolutely, I love that phrase. By the way, Avi, that would be bed music. It came underneath. Get it?
It felt cozy. So.
Okay.
We get back from the break, I want to touch upon growth.
Okay. So once again, folks, want to remind you that our guest this evening is Avi Smith-Rapaport, owner of We Care Computers out of West Hartford. If you are not following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, then we want you to start, and we want you to start in this particular moment, and make sure you like Avi's company on Facebook and follow him on Twitter as well. And before we say goodbye for the moment, I'm going to read a commercial from one of our sponsors, CentralCTDental.com. It's the home of Doctors Camp, Sambor, and Brian's favorite Lupini. For serious issues or a routine checkup, go nowhere else. They're easy to get to. They are on the Plainville-Farmington line. You can always call at 860-747-5761 or make an appointment online at centralctdental.com. You are tuning in to Open for Business. We're on thehorn.com, and we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Budwitz & Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz & Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there. Sharper than a marble. Smoother than 60 grit sandpaper. On the Horn. On thehorn.com.
Hey, that's a different piece of bed music there, Brian. You're improvising here all the way down the line.
Sure, why not?
Absolutely. Anyway, folks, before we get started or go back to our guest this evening, Avi Smith-Rapaport from We Care Computers, I'm going to read one more commercial from another one of our illustrious sponsors, and this, again, is Brian's favorite. It's Deepwater Seafood.
Deepwater.
Of Avon, and Brian's favorite joke is just for the halibut. It's Farmington Valley's freshest seafood. They will work with you and your schedule. If you call ahead at 860-676-9657 or fax them, same area code, 677-2281, they'll take your order. Deepwater will set aside that order, and you can pick it up after work. Their hours, just in case you're wondering, are Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., and they're even open on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, if you're wondering what's on the menu, here we go. Sea scallops, fresh oysters, fish and chips, soups, bisques, chowders. If you're having a party, that's paella for 12, a salad, that's all you need. It'll be a great time. It's made with spicy chicken, sausage, scallops, shrimps, and you got it just for the halibut. It's Deepwater Seafood.
Deepwater.
Of Avon. Sorry about that. Oh my God. But as Brian said, we get people requesting, the team of Brian and Tommy to read that commercial. See, there's one of our listeners calling in right now.
That was Brian's radio voice.
By the way, Dave brought in some Deepwater shrimp this evening. This is 2 weeks in a row, Dave.
Well,
yeah.
I guess it's forget Avi, Ken, and Tom. I mean,
I'm sorry, who?
Thanks, Dave. We appreciate it, bud. So, Ken, you wanted us to pick up.
I wanted to pick up on the growth issue.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons we're here is to talk about growth for business.
Amen.
And entrepreneurs, it's a continual goal and a continual struggle. Now, for We Care Computers, 10 techs, I think, or 10 people,
10 people total, yeah.
Okay, 7 techs on the street. What % of capacity are they running now?
We're not at full capacity.
Okay, so what do you need?
So what we do, which I like, is I have some relationships with some of my guys who are subcontractors.
Okay.
So what's nice is when times are busy,
Yeah.
I have full staff, and when times are slower, they're working their other opportunities out there, which is really nice. As time has gone on, I've been able to pull a couple of them to full time, which I like, and want to do that. Obviously more of that. That is my goal. So right now, I would say 70-ish% probably.
Okay, and great lesson there for anybody out there thinking about growth. What Avi is doing is making his number one expense, the people, a variable expense tied to volume. So when your business picks up, you can employ the contractor. When it slows down, you're not stuck with the salary. They're still making a living somewhere else. That's a great example.
Good, thanks.
Now, when you say you want to get more business coming in, how are you viewing it? What do you do to set growth goals, and how do you work towards them on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis?
Right now, we've certainly seen growth every year,
okay.
And we were coming to the point where I like the term explosive growth, and we were ready to hit explosive growth, and then the whole thing happened with the economy.
We don't talk about those 2 years.
Got it. So
nobody.
So
it's a bad memory.
It's a bad word. Yeah. We still have grown, and we're certainly moving in that direction. It just hasn't been explosive. So for me, I just need to take a seat and just look at things and breathe.
Okay. That's always a good start.
Realize that things are certainly positive and they're going great. In my head, obviously, I want them to be in a certain place, but they're not there right now. However, we're certainly moving in that direction. So things that I personally do with me, ways that I measure the way things are going is potential new client meetings.
Okay.
Certainly, we do a lot of marketing and communication with our current clients with new offerings.
Okay.
So if there's new technology that'll be useful to our clients, we talk about it, whether it's in our newsletters or separate mailings, that kind of thing. And then certainly now with our managed service types programs or monthly kind of recurring revenue kind of stuff, that's another goal that I'm setting to see how many. Obviously, we're selling products that we believe in, we think our clients need.
Mm-hmm.
The same token, just looking at number of seats sold for those kinds of services.
Is the managed services a new product or service line for you?
Somewhat newer, yeah. Because I think it's, again, with us, we always like to offer what's going to be best for our clients. At the same token, and then there's new technology and there's a lot of news out there. So I think now with everyone talking about the cloud so much, or maybe they stopped talking about it because they've talked about it so much, the clients are clamoring and asking about it. Well, do we really need a server on site anymore? Do we really need to, host our own email exchange server and deal with that? And for some clients, it makes sense to do that. For others, not so much. Why have the headache? We can manage that and host it for you. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of great products out there that are.
It seems to me that that your industry could be a seminar-intensive industry. Is that something that you folks have ever thought about doing? Having seminars from time to time to invite, the men and women off the street, in so many words, business people, to say, here's a seminar about, why yes to cloud, why no to cloud, why yes to having a server on site, why no? Has that been any part of your marketing strategy up to this point?
No, it has not been our marketing strategy to this point. I see it. I see it in, I'm sure there will be some conversations about that at the Business Expo.
Oh, yeah.
I see various organizations doing things. What's interesting to me are the organizations that are putting on those talks. Like a lot of times it's like a law firm discussing the legal aspects or ramifications of dealing with cloud, and with some of our clients depending on who their clients are, it's interesting the security concerns and conversations that come into play. So we have not done any kind of seminars as of yet.
Would there be a potential to partner with the law firm that's holding that kind of seminar to have them bring you guys in as, the pros from Dover that can really answer any of the, the technology-based questions?
It's possible.
Yeah, I find seminars is so crowded. It's a lot of people competing for butts and seats on tight schedules when nobody has any time to go to one, let alone all the invitations they get. So
Is that in part what's kept you from crossing that threshold?
I will admit I have not seen that as a hugely profitable thing for us. What I've seen, like, again, being at the business shows, typically we have a booth, so don't have time to go into the seminars, but we can see kind of where the people are going. And what I've seen where the rooms are crowded appear to be when there's something of value for the business owner that they're sure is a value. Like, I think it was last year there was a whole bunch of social media seminars, and I mean the room was standing room only. And so certainly do our clients need to worry about security and make sure they have a proper security appliance? Sure, but if they didn't read about it or they didn't hear about it, even though they trust us, it might not be their top priority. They might not see value in sitting in a seminar about it, where they might see some marketing thing. Oh, wow, we can make
a good point.
a ton of money there.
That's a good point.
I don't know if it's right or not, but yeah.
I always think every firm should have a division called the Generosity Group, where all they do is they offer things of value to their clients, even if there isn't an immediate inherent financial benefit, because clients are going to remember that. And even for a technology firm, the Generosity Group would be, and Tommy mentioned this earlier, I had a guy in who did a 2-hour program on LinkedIn. It was standing room only, loving it. And it worked because it's so front of mind for so many people. For you, just to have, even if you did a webinar on to cloud or not to cloud, that be the question kind of thing, and have people sit there and say, what the heck is this cloud thing all about? And invite them for a 40-minute webinar that has 20 minutes of presentation and 20 minutes of give and take. And the beauty of it is that when they start to think about their needs, they're going to make the connections without you having to explicitly do it for them. And that's when the opportunities present
I think
themselves.
That's right.
Yeah. I like generosity. Works particularly in relationships.
And it sounds like that's a big part of what your firm is all about.
Yeah.
It's about establishing and maintaining relationships. How well do you folks do with retention? Once the client's on board, do they stay with you for a long time?
Yeah, it's nice. And then sometimes it's a little bizarre. You don't hear from someone for a long while, and you think, did something happen? And you look back over the communication. Oh no, nothing happened there. The last invoice. Oh, that was pretty straightforward work. And then all of a sudden you get a call out of the blue. All right, time to upgrade all our computers. Like, oh, all right,
we'll be there. Love those clients.
But yeah, and we also do a whole bunch of programs to communicate with our clients in that level too. So if our client has provided us with their birthday, we like to send them out a note on their birthday, and also send them a We Care shirt kind of thing. If we also always give gifts for referral. So when people call us and say, we ask, how did you hear about us? And most of the time, if they're a business owner, it's most of the time they'll know to tell us who did it. So we even have a program. So if it's the first time you sent us, you get this thing, and then it kind of goes up from there. So just because when I like to be recognized when I'm dealing with people, and my mouth is big. If I think someone is fabulous out there, I'm going to tell everyone I know about that person, and not many people, and I will do that anyways, because that's just how I want to be and how I feel. I want people to be towards me, and once in a while I get surprised and someone sends me something, and it's like, wow, that was nice.
So how do you see that? You say you're at 70% capacity, and so there's that 30%. Give us a time frame and the goals that go along with you ringing in the chime at 100%.
This will be the hard part of the interview. This is where we try to make you cry.
Thank you,
Tomorrow. It's explosive.
What I think is neat in the way that I've set up the business to run is that the guys I have to pay legally have a higher capacity than that.
Our lawyer shakes his head in the back of the room. It's all right, Dave. There's no exposure here.
So, and to have the problem of being too busy where I need to hire someone immediately would be a fabulous problem to have, and I already have wonderful consultants who could help me with that when that is a problem, which I'm sure it will be soon. But what I've seen is just keep doing what I'm doing. Like that book we talked about earlier, those books, I mean, those are old books, yet, I mean, they're they're perfect for today. So to me, doing what got me from just myself to my first employee and then I mean, why? I mean, I should probably do those same things. Maybe tweak them a bit to today and, upgrade it, but no.
I was going to share with you an old book that I read going back probably 15, 20 years ago called If It Ain't Broke, Break It. And the contention of the author is that even though it's been working up to this point, there's a likelihood for a whole lot of reasons that because things are changing, while you might be sleeping, that it might be time to go back in and retool. Because if you're not, someone else is, and they're gonna pass you out, even before you know what happened. So, but I also think that there's some fundamental things that you guys seem to do very, very well that never go out of vogue. That they are always there and always important, and that fundamentally is that high touch, great customer service component that there's no exception to.
And it's interesting, can I touch on what you said, the retooling? What is so surprising to me in different industries is how some small business owners don't pay attention to that. And we're talking about some successful companies out there that don't even have a website. And I'm not talking about a $10,000 website. Even if you search your business name and a website doesn't come up, that's scary to me today.
That's not good.
I mean, that's the first thing when, you should call this vendor. Oh, let me look them up. I'll look them up on LinkedIn. I'll look them up on Facebook. I'll look up their website. So, I don't know. I mean, to me, you should retool it.
Here's a book that was written before I believe Brian was born, which is scary unto itself, but it's Alvin Tobler, Future Shock.
Oh, great book.
Right, going back. And I mean, that book, unbelievable. And it's just what you're talking about. People waking up one day and like, what happened? Well, I'm in a completely different world. So do you remember that book, Brian?
No, I never even heard of it.
Okay.
That doesn't exist.
I don't, it doesn't exist. I'm with Avi. You're making that title up.
Yes, I am.
Do you write a blog?
I do not write a blog now.
Would you like to for, say, I don't know, an online radio station?
That's that generosity back there.
Think of the 4.5 million people in the greater Hartford area that could read that blog.
Fabulous. It is coming. We have it prepped, but I was told you do not start a blog until you're going to always put content into it. So that is coming, the blog.
Great. Now, the generosity thing keeps going around the horn here. Hey, I like that. Anyway, one of the things I noticed with the information that you were kind enough to send over our way is that you guys do a lot with nonprofit. I mean, it seems to be part of the business's DNA, written right into it. Share with us a little bit about your philosophy on that, some of the groups that you're working with, and what motivated you to make that decision to be as nonprofit focused as it appears you guys are.
The community takes care of us, so I think it would make sense to return that favor. So supporting the various organizations that support us is like a no-brainer, I think. As well if it's
elegant simplicity. I love that.
I'm with you on that. Absolutely. Very nice.
And I think it's also not, some people think I don't know what some people think. I found that it doesn't have to kill you to support organizations, and if you don't have the time, you can support them with whatever other means they have, whether they're having a big event and you can donate a prize or something. I mean, and in reality, that can even get you more business. But but in reality, I mean, you're doing it to support the organization so they can, hit their goals. And I think there's so many opportunities out there that, again, even the small business owners can take advantage of and do some good.
Now, I get the sense that your clients mirror you in terms of size, complexity of business, and the like. Am I right in that? They're pretty much your
I've never
size?
thought about that.
Yeah. But you were saying earlier your user base, the sweet spot is 10 to 25 users, and you being 10 employees, that right on the low end. And what's behind my comment, I'm thinking in terms of the blog, what would be interesting would be the journey of We Care Computers without sharing without being arrogant about it, but
Right.
lessons learned. I mean, you would not believe what I went through last week trying to deal with a last-minute order and this and that, etc.
I got this crazy client. I think you should send that out there. These crazy people who want me to redo. I mean, the woman can't even do the start menu. It's the start menu.
No names.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, you're mocking Brian.
I am mocking.
Why?
I think
he likes me.
Speaking of DNA, that would be in Brian's, I think.
It's what I do.
Yeah. I like that idea. I think that
If
would
others
work.
like that idea, I mean, I like the idea.
There we go.
I mean, and a lot of those books, what we hear, we heard stories and what people went through, and
Mm-hmm. Well, I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, and you are a beautiful case study for how to succeed, because you start first from the client's point of view, and you work backwards to the business. You don't sit with the business goal and then say, okay, now I'm going to go to the market with it. You find a market that's in need of what you do, and you work backward from there. That is such an ideal way to go at it.
Let me. Can I ask the jerk question?
All right. Yes.
So you're making the
Too
premise.
late.
You're making the premise that Avi, in that phrase, is a great example. He's the poster child for how to become a success. How do we know that Avi is a success? What metrics are you using for that, other than the fact that he's tall and handsome and has a beautiful shirt?
The metrics I'm using are longevity, client retention, and growth.
Okay.
Those are the ones that stick in my head from the conversation tonight.
Okay.
And if he, most importantly in that, longevity, because if you cannot be sustainably profitable, then it's just a very expensive habit.
So this is the reason I asked the question. So someone's out there, they've been struggling along, they have a few employees, they're not really sure, am I wasting my time doing this? Am I doing the right things? How do they know whether or not they are a success? When Avi wakes up in the morning, he looks in the mirror and he's pleased with what he sees and what he's built. What should those other people, how do they relate to Avi? What are they looking for in the mirror the next morning?
Well, let's get our guest to answer that. I mean, I could keep it
It's
going.
far too difficult of a question for the hosts.
No, I could.
Let me handle this one, gentlemen.
I could take the next
It's
20.
yours, Avi.
I
Go
could take
for
the
it.
next 20 minutes on that, but no, I'd like to hear Avi's point of view on that. What measures success for you?
I can say it like this. I remember going to work and before We Care and not being so happy, maybe having a little anxiety, maybe not being sure what the day would hold and how my boss and my boss's boss would be feeling, and how that translates down the whole ladder. So I can say that now I enjoy going to work. My brother joined me in 2007. We have a great relationship. We have a fun office. My guys are great. So I think waking up in the morning and being happy, I see the boys off on the bus, and then I live close enough to my office I can actually walk, which is fabulous. And I get to the office and I'm like eager to start the day, like really.
So you would say that all the bills are paid, and you just have a sense of success. You have a sense of purpose.
I wouldn't go that far to say all the bills are paid, but I do have a sense of purpose.
It's interesting, Brian, that you went to that dollar figure place so quickly. So how would you measure success, Mr. Parker?
Well, I'm very zen, so as long as
Yeah, it's coming through tonight.
as long as I feel, well, I'm just, I'm trying to help the audience relate because, it's one thing just to get, the 45-minute infomercial, but now we want people to know Avi and his struggle. We haven't really heard a lot of, and how did you know that this is, was there some point when you started this up and you said to yourself, oh, Christ, what have I done? Probably going to have to close this thing. How do I back out of it? What was the moment that you said, no, I'm going to keep going at this because I think I can reach this plateau or this level?
Good. I think I don't think I ever said let's close this thing, but certainly initially with debt, and I don't know how other business owners do it, but credit card and playing that game, and certainly not knowing what's going to happen. There was a lot of possibility though, and I had I relied a lot on my mentors and that kind of stuff, and that was just invaluable. So yeah, it was just to keep going, and I was seeing progress. Wasn't always as fast as I wanted it, but certainly was in that direction, and yeah, just relying on mentors who had already been there and who kind of have like a GPS. They kind of see the overall view of everything, and were able to coach me around a lot of those hurdles. So certainly, yes, there was plenty of struggles, and not that there aren't still struggles. However, I think we're in a good place.
Yeah.
So kind of segueing that a little bit, it's not all that unlike your Ironman training and your triathlon training. I mean, you have to have some days where you get out and you're going to go for a swim or a bike ride, and there is everything inside of you that's saying, it's not going to happen today.
Right.
And yet you dig deep and you find that place within you to make it happen. And though I've, not at that level of athleticism, I definitely have my same moments in the morning of, man, oh man, I want to be fit, but I'm not going to do this. And I have the same moments in running my own business. But the aggregate, it sounds like, is a happy place for the most part.
Oh yeah, and certainly having that goal. Like, so when I wake up at 3:30 in the morning to go for a bike and then a swim after that, and then to come back to see the boys off to school, it's kind of like, yeah, you have to focus on crossing that finish line, and what's that going to feel like. And just like in business, like, wow, this is really rough today, but you never want to go back to where you were. You never want to do that, and what's on the other side of here. So yeah, focusing on that, your dream, your goal, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's helpful.
It's good that we end at 6:30 if he's up at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh my
Lord.
goodness.
Not yet. It's still early in the
And
training.
Brian, yes, 3:30 does come around twice a day, just in case you were wondering. So anyway, folks, Avi, we appreciate you being here with us this evening. This was a great show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Appreciate
absolutely.
It was fun.
Absolutely. You've been tuning in to Open for Business this evening. We've got Ken Cook, we've got Tommy Russo, our guest Avi Smith-Rapaport, the owner of We Care We Care Computers, Brian Parker, and Dave Moore, who just left the building. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.